What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Fan Culture. 9th episode now. Just me and Carl here today. How's it going, Carl? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man.
You feeling good?
I'm feeling good, dog.
We missed you on the last episode, so we're glad to have you back. Unfortunately, Sakani and Brandon are out this episode, but we still got some good stuff to get into. Obviously, NBA Finals still going on. Game 3 is underway right now. The Raptors are up 8 at the half, so we may be kind of chiming in there and giving you guys some updated commentary as we go. So first things first, let's talk about the NBA Finals and kind of your takeaways from it right now. Tied 1-1 in the series right now. Carl, what's your biggest takeaway from the series?
I feel like we aren't being let down. It's been a competitive series so far. You were right in regards to how you felt about Drake being in the finals and entertainment value that he's actually been added that I didn't believe he was going to be able to bring, or at least for me personally. You know, musically, I'll even watch him in acting, but just as a fan, it's just something I really didn't care about. But yeah, it has added something, a little rivalry that he's developing with the players. And it's a little weird because you know how much of a fan and friends they are, you know, with him literally having like jersey numbers tatted and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think KD and Steph.
Yeah. You know, how many songs has he mentioned them and things like that? But it's, you know, it's fun. It's light, you know, still not disrespectful. You know, see you in the Bay, Aubrey, like that was funny. You know, that was nice. So, you know, I've been entertained by the game, by the things that's transpiring off the court. You know, him and Draymond Green aren't going to fight, but, you know, you see him arguing over a basketball game. It's just funny to watch, but it's been good so far, and I've been enjoying it. A little disappointed in the ratings, so I wish more people would give it a chance.
It's so weird that going in, you know, before game 1 even started, I don't know why everyone was leaning so heavily on the Warriors winning. People are acting like, you know, the Raptors are just a terrible team. Mind you, these past, or at least the last Cavs team, had nothing on this Raptors team. So this isn't the worst team that the Warriors have played during their title run.
Not at all.
You know, this is probably, honestly, it's probably the second best team. The other team being, you know, the team that obviously won the championship against the Warriors that came back from the 3-1 deficit. But you can make the argument that the Raptors are the second best team of those years.
Yeah,
in
definitely.
terms of, you know, competition. So I just don't get why people sleep on the Raptors like that. I understand they're not the sexy pick. You know, people wanted to see the Bucks and Giannis make it to the finals, but it just didn't play out that way. You would think that we'd all be happy that the better team made it to the finals to try to dethrone the Warriors, and they have a legitimate chance to do so. So injuries and everything have been frustrating, you know, just to watch from a fan's perspective. Like even in game 3, you know, Klay not playing. KD, we still don't know what's going on there. Everyone's hobbled, but that's kind of how it goes at the finals too. If you're not hurt, you probably weren't playing, you know, throughout the season.
Right. You know, honestly, I wonder if KD's absence may play a part in the lack of interest from the general public. Sometimes I do question whether it was Milwaukee not being there, whether people would care, because at the end of the day, it's Milwaukee.
Right.
Like, I don't know what their national numbers were really like during the regular season. Yes, Giannis is an MVP candidate, but do enough people really care about him in America to really get those numbers up? That's something I was also thinking about. Or is it really just the LeBron James factor? I mean, he does bring something. People want to watch him win. People want to watch him lose. People just want to watch the rivalry. You know, he is a entertaining basketball player. He's not someone that just plays the game in a boring manner. So there are a couple of different things to look at there, but personally, I've liked it. I just wish other people, as I stated, would give it a chance, because Toronto isn't a bad team. I don't feel like they're boring. You know, they're defensive, they're tough, they're scrappy, they play defense, they score as well. You have a guy like Kawhi that you can watch do amazing things on the court. They have guys that can hit big shots. So, you know, they have notable names. I'm really not getting it, but, you know, it's just kind of sad.
When you think about this series, obviously a lot of players are hobbled or out. You know, KD being one of those that's out. Boogie trying to shift his way back into playing. Klay being out now in game 3. Even on the Raptors side, you have Kyle Lowry practically playing with the cast, you know, on his left hand, you know, to deal with his thumb. Kawhi, you know, limping around. So regardless of who wins this championship, do you put an asterisk on this championship because, hey, the other team was hobbled or they had players that were out?
I'm going to say no. It's a part of the game. Nobody put an asterisk next to the Warriors when they beat Cleveland the first year.
Yeah.
Kyrie not there, Kevin Love not there. We just look at it and add it to their greatness. Some people may look at it weird. It may be brought up, but I don't think it's brought up to the point to where you look at it with as much criticism as you may look at like a Barry Bonds career or a Mark McGwire. The way some people or not even some people, like that may be a great comparison there. Jerry Rice came out and said that he wore stickum on his hands. Nobody said, oh, well, he's the 9th greatest wide receiver of all time now. It's just kind of like something that we look past. So no, I especially if the Warriors win. If the Warriors win, it might actually be a little too impressive to look at. Oh, well, Kyle Lowry got the cast on his hand. Kawhi Leonard was limping. Y'all were on the court. Yeah. So it is what it is. So if the Warriors win, it'll actually be a little more impressive that they did it with so many games without Kevin Durant, or even without Kevin Durant if he doesn't play at all. If Toronto wins, I feel like Warriors fans may always try to bring that up, but I don't think it's enough Warriors fans to really carry that narrative to a point to where us who are not Warrior fans are gonna care. Like, nah, y'all came. I think if anything, we're gonna use the Cleveland series. Like, well, you did win the first one, so them beating y'all without KD, and y'all won a championship without KD with that team. So maybe that team just wasn't that good.
Yeah, and I think you made a very good point there, because let's be real, about 60% of those Warriors fans will be Lakers fans next year, because they're really just riding the bandwagon. So There are some true Warriors fans out there, but I think most people truly won't care, won't really cut them that much slack. You had players on the court. You're still a dynasty. All dynasties come to an end. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's happened to every single dynasty in the history of the league.
Right. You think about how many people only like them because of them being a dynasty now. My mom said something one day like, "Ooh, me and Steph Curry or the Warriors, us." Kind of like, when you become a fan, what you mean? You don't remember Baron Davis playing over there?
Don't know Run TMC. Nothing like that. You don't know anything about their down years. Monte Ellis. Leading the franchise.
Not at all.
It's a lot of fake love, and I know my mom's kind of the same way. Because she'll just support California. And I know a lot of people say that. Well, it's California. I don't care.
No, I don't root for it. I wanted Boston to win in the championships.
Because even if they win, I'm not going to the parade. It's not my team. I'm not rooting for the team. It does no good for me or us as a state.
No.
So I'm like, I'm with my team and my team only.
I own one piece of Warriors, merchandise, and it's some basketball shorts, and I only bought them because it doesn't just say Warriors, it has Kevin Durant's number, it has Kevin Durant's name, and I bought them from Ross for $12. So I you got an NBA logo with the Warriors logo, Kevin Durant number, Kevin Durant name, and they're nice shorts, and they're only $12. That's the only reason why I got them.
That is a steal for $12.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not a Warriors fan. No, I'm not finna bring that up if they lose. Oh, y'all only lost because I don't care.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not even rooting for anybody in this finals.
Yeah.
I'm Sacramento Kings fan, man. Yeah. Ain't no purple out there. It's just pink.
I did make the prediction that the Raptors will win the series. And I said that they would win in 6 if KD doesn't play at all. And I said in 7 if KD does play. So not necessarily that I'm rooting for them, but I want to see if my prediction is right, just so I can say, I'm a basketball genius, and that's why you guys need to listen to my takes. But
I was the one who did call Toronto coming out the East before the playoffs started.
Yeah, you did. So you're right there. But there were really only 2 teams.
False.
There were 2 teams that were threats.
There were 4.
They were threats.
There were 4. There were probably 2 that you thought were a threat to the Warriors, but there were 4 teams that could have come out the East.
There were 2 teams that were more so, and it was the teams in the Eastern Conference Finals that were more so of the surefire bets. Philly was a wild card. It kind of went based on their seeding, so everyone thought Milwaukee would potentially be a shoo-in, them being the number 1 seed, Toronto being 2nd, Philly 3rd, Boston. We were just waiting on them to click, and it just never clicked. So that's what we were relying on. It was a caveat with Boston. It's like Boston if they're playing at the level that they're capable of, which was a big if.
But that's the thing. The fact that we had cases for 4 teams, I could see Philly I could see Boston, but I could see Toronto, and I also could see Milwaukee.
So I know we talked about on the last episode, these finals are also intriguing, I think, for true hoops fans because they realize that the result of the finals and also who plays in the finals could change the scope of the NBA for the next, 5 years. And you can make the argument if the Warriors win without KD, you could say KD has to leave. KD has to go somewhere else and play because they've proven that they, quote unquote, don't need him. But if he comes back, let's say if he comes back and they're down 2-1 and then they win, win the series, then you could say, well, KD proved his point that they need him. And therefore he either stays or leaves, and he leaves with a good conscience and doesn't feel forced. He makes a decision that he wants.
Right.
He could not play and they still win. He has to go. He could not play, they lose, and then say, hey, you guys need me. Let's come back next year and go win it again.
And what if he plays and they lose?
If he plays and they lose, I think he could stay.
I think if he plays and they lose, you got to go.
Because does that mean that he was the problem and he's why they didn't win the championship in your mind?
No, it's because we've reached our peak. And I think it's just time that I go try to do something else by myself. We had 3 great years. We won 2 of them. Yeah. I appreciate y'all, but I'm just finna go try this somewhere else.
KD is just so
and I'll see y'all in the finals next year because I'm going to the East because there's no point in you going to the West.
Oh, yeah. It will be done for him to go to the West unless some situation.
With him and Kawhi with the Clippers.
With the Clippers.
If him and Kawhi can go to the Clippers, that's going to be nice.
Oh, yeah. That would be big.
I want to see who else they fill out that team with.
Yeah.
That would be very nice. But honestly, him, Kyrie, and AD in New York, it would be very, very tricky to do, and you have to do everything at a very specific time.
Yeah.
You have to trade for this person at the right time. You have to sign these people at the right time in order for that money to work. I think Kyrie would find some way to mess it up.
Well, reports have already coming out that Kyrie prefers Brooklyn.
Yes, I've been seeing that.
Knicks.
But I was just saying, like, for a KD scenario. Him with the Clippers, I think, would be dope if Kawhi is there alongside. If he does go to New York, and just what was talked about a little more was the Kyrie and AD pair up or matchup or whatever. But yeah, I think Kyrie would mess that up if he were there as well. But I don't think it would be bad if you go and they can get a trade for AD. I think you only go if you know they can get AD. Because if you just finna go over there to play with Frank Knucklehead and Kevin Knox.
You saw what happened to LeBron this year. I mean, LeBron went over by himself, and knowing that they were going to get a second star that never showed up.
Better than New York.
Yeah, oh yeah, much better.
That's
much
even
better.
Worse.
And you can make the argument, that team would probably make the playoffs just because the East isn't, from top to bottom, they don't have that much depth, but the top 4 is strong. It's a stronger top 4 than it is even in the West.
How does that limit KD's options? Because you think about it. Anthony Davis is not guaranteed to be traded to New York. Kyrie, per reports, prefers Brooklyn. So you can possibly not play with him. You don't know where Jimmy Butler's going. But you know that, per reports, Philly's going to offer him the max.
Yeah.
Kemba Walker can now get a super max with the Hornets. So he's most likely going to stay for that extra $80 million or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If Kawhi stays in Toronto, because per reports, he just bought a house in Toronto.
Yeah.
If you're Kevin Durant, are you going to do what LeBron James did and go to the Los Angeles Clippers by yourself and play with Pat Beverly,
right,
Danilo Gallinari, Montrezl Harrell, and Shamet?
And Lou.
You finna go over there and play with Zubac? You finna go to New York and play with Frank Nickelback and Dennis Smith Jr. and Mitchell Robinson, and DeAndre Jordan's a free agent. You don't know if he's coming back. Like, where does Kevin Durant go if let's say everybody stays? Yeah. Let's say they actually talk Anthony Davis into staying, or they trade him to the Lakers, or they trade him to Boston and Kyrie stays in Boston.
Yeah.
Do you try to make your way to Boston? Like, nah, y'all better take Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, I think the point that you made is very good because the timing can change everything. Let's say if the Lakers are able to pull the trigger on a trade for 80 before free agency starts. Let's say they do a draft day trade or something along the lines of that. Because I'm assuming they would do a draft day trade. They trade that number 4 pick,
right?
You know, and some assets over to the not the Hornets, the Pelicans. But if they can get that pair solidified before free agency of LeBron and AD, the Lakers now become that bandwagon team to sign with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now all of a sudden people want to take less money to go to LA. It's kind of just what happens. Same thing that happened with the Heat. You know, once the Heat got their big 3 for the next, few years, it was, I want to go to Miami. I think you could see that same thing happening in LA. And then all of a sudden, New York doesn't look very desirable as a destination because that's not the building of a next super team. That's in LA. So what can I do to get my way over to LA?
And if you follow LeBron to LA, they are going to look at you worse than they did when you went to the Warriors to beat him.
Yeah. I think the Lakers are off the table for him.
That's
the Clippers
so
are much more
scary.
realistic than, but if he goes to the Lakers, that could be, crazy.
You go to the Clippers, Pat Beverly is going to say something along the lines of, we made it to the playoffs without you, which is going to be very reminiscent of Draymond Green on that bench.
We won 2 games with you on the opposing team.
We beat y'all 2 times. One time in Oakland.
Yeah.
And you was on the court when we beat you. Like that conversation is going to be had at some point. So don't talk to me about what I can. Don't you tell me I can't shoot.
Yeah.
We beat y'all with me shooting. Don't how do you where do you go?
That could be interesting, but then at the same time,
do you try to go to Charlotte?
But then who's to say let's say if KD does say, okay, I'm going to go to the Clippers. There are other teams or other players that are under contract right now. They're potential trade pieces. Could they try to swing a trade for Bradley Beal? Could they try to not necessarily blow up that team, but more so build a super team, keep maybe 3 players from that core being a Patrick Beverly, a Danilo Gallinari, and I don't know, Lou Williams. One of them will probably have to go to make contracts and stuff match up too. But I mean, you could make the argument, well, let's just go pair him up with someone else. Now that LA, the Clippers are already a fairly desirable place to land because of, organizational structure, but organizational structure with KD.
But that's why I kind of asked, like, who would you try to go after then?
If I'm the Clippers in that situation?
Yes. KD coming, but he's saying you got to attract somebody else first. Who are you going after?
Could they get AD? AD wants to be in LA.
They got enough, though.
He wants to be in LA. It's not necessarily he wants to be with the Lakers. That's what I keep on hearing. He wants to be in LA.
I have heard that as well, but then but that's the thing. Who do you trade? Who do the Pelicans accept for Anthony Davis from the Clippers?
Do they take a young Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? I don't know what draft capital the Clippers have. I don't know if they own anyone else's picks over the next few years, some that may be a little higher than others. Landing that trade with Charlotte, I don't know, kind of what they acquired from that draft day trade to even get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I feel like I can get better from other teams.
But I also think that people are loving how competitive the Clippers were, and they traded an all-star caliber player in Tobias Harris, and they still made the playoffs. But don't act like this team, if they kept this team together, they're going to be top 4 in the West next year, because they're not. They're just simply not that good enough. They do need someone or some people to take them to the next level. So
they may not make it to the playoffs because Tobias helped them reach playoff
X number of wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like he helped you get in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the team remaining was able to sustain a level of consistency. While you saw over those last couple of games, the Lakers lost more than they won. The Kings lost more than they won. It was another team kind of within that
Timberwolves
mix there.
were somewhat in the mix.
Somewhat, but majority of the other teams in the race, they just lost more than they won, and y'all were good enough to stay there.
Exactly.
So next year, you give them a whole year, you're not going.
Exactly. You rallied together for 25 games? Because really, after the All-Star break, it's about 25 games.
Right.
So that you rallied long enough for 25 games to continue to make the playoffs. So great job. Great job, Doc. Great job to the Clippers players, but you're not winning a chip. You're not competing for a championship anytime soon with that team.
Are you with Kevin Durant? Because I feel like wherever he goes, if he's not competing for a championship, you went there for no reason.
Yeah, and that's why I'm hesitant on him going there, because I feel like there's no guarantee that they'll make another move to bring someone else in. They could make moves, but I just don't know if they will. I don't know. What's your new identity with KD on your team?
I mean, do you try to grab Chris Middleton? But it's like,
yeah,
that's why I'm trying to really question, who do you go after in that situation?
I think they're better off. They're probably better off trading for someone the caliber of AD if they can do it.
You try to get Eric Gordon back?
Nah.
Clint Capella?
That's an undesirable contract for any team right now.
Hey, if you the Clippers, you might have to go grab Clint Capella.
But he got to work on his game.
Everybody got to work on their game. You might have to trade Gallinari to go get Clint Capella.
I like Gallinari, though. I've always liked Gallinari.
I've always thought he was cool, but wouldn't wear his jersey.
Well, yeah, I mean, he never should be the primary scorer on your team. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what he turned into once Tobias Harris.
He might have to play some 5 in Houston. I gotta send you over it, bro. It's Clint Capella. Come on, man.
But I know the Rockets will be all over it. It's another shooter.
Exactly.
They take it in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
Yeah. And have him play stretch 4. Actually, PJ Tucker can play the 5 with the way he rebounds.
Yeah, I was
defense,
just playing. Yes,
he could play the 5.
PJ Tucker would definitely play the 5.
That'd be the small ball lineup for 48 minutes a game.
Yes,
that'd be wild. That'd be wild. So we're kind of already talking about the Rockets. Let's segue into the Rockets. Obviously, disappointing, way to end the season. How do you, not advance to the Western Conference Finals when they don't have KD? You lose Game 6 on your home floor. A lot of kind of controversy and friction appears to be kind of in play between Chris Paul and also James Harden. You have the issue with the Rockets and kind of being able to extend Mike D'Antoni's contract. It sounds like he's just going to play out the final year of his deal, and they see what happens from there. What moves do you see the Rockets making or being able to make to get better for next year?
When I hear about the names that are being discussed right now for possible trades, people that are on the market or whatever, I think Bradley Beal is somebody they should go try to snatch before OKC really gets their hands on him, even if that means bringing Dwight Howard back, because I saw he might be a part of a trade because Steven Adams would end up in Washington.
Yeah.
Even if that means bringing Dwight Howard back and having a very, very limited role, or you just not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's either we Carmelo you and we tell you this is what you're going to play for how many minutes, we can buy you out, or I'm going to just try to get a third team involved and flip you to wherever.
Yeah.
But I think Bradley Beal is somebody they should definitely try to go get.
I mean, it sucks because I feel like there aren't many moves that they can make. So they do have to acquire someone via trade. Don't have many, much draft capital as far as draft picks go. You're drafting, in the late first round for the next several years.
I don't care
as you
about
compete.
your next 4, 25 to 30.
Exactly. Can you guarantee me that I'm going to get a draft Kyle Kuzma from one of those picks?
No.
No. I think that the primary change has to come from their style of play. That's literally that's the biggest change that they can make, even more so than roster moves. Because if I bring in a Bradley Beal and I make him a spot-up shooter, what good does that do me? It doesn't do me any good. I'm not getting the true value that he presents as a player.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. That statement was just more from a personnel standpoint. I do think the biggest issue is their offensive style of play. James Harden is the biggest ball stopper in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he brings the ball up court. So the guy who's supposed to be establishing the offense and moving the ball is the same person who's bringing it up court and doing whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I'm going to dribble for 9 seconds. Either I'm going to step back and shoot it when I could have simply did that as soon as I got up here, because I really didn't make too much creation. I just wanted to explore my options for a moment. Or I'm going to drive and then just kick it out when I could have just passed it to you, ran around the screen, and set up space for somebody else. So, no, the offense would definitely have to alter. He would definitely have to be more engaged in other styles of offense and stop pouting whenever he's not the one bringing up the ball. I just think Bill would be nice on that team.
Another move that I think they should make, and mind you, I'm never really a fan of when this happens, when a player leaves a team, they go somewhere else, you trade back for them, or they come back via free agency. They should bring Trevor Ariza back. I understand
definitely.
I understand it may not be how it was last season, but you got to bring him back. You got to bring him back.
How do you create enough space for him?
Because, he got paid $15 million with the Suns and with the Wizards this year. Do you think he comes back for the mid-level exception? I think he does.
I think it depends on how much that mid-level. If it's 9, I'll take 9. If it's 5, I'm not taking 5.
Yeah. And that's what kind of sucks, like I said, with their situation, because they're so bound with the contracts that they have right now.
Right.
Chris Paul, $40 million. James Harden, high contract.
Right.
Clint Capella, another $20 million.
PJ make about 7.5.
Yeah.
Eric Gordon, he was in the teens.
And they're earning every single one of those dollars, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Both of them are. But outside of that, there's really not much that you can do. You only have room for a mid-level exception and some minimum contracts. So if you can't get
as long as I can bring back Gerald Green on a minimum, I'm bringing him back.
Yeah. I liked Austin Rivers. Yeah.
Austin Rivers played well. He might be looking for that mid-level. So that'll definitely have to be a discussion between him and Trevor Ariza. But I do really, really like Austin Rivers. I thought he was going to be better. I hoped he would be better. But I appreciate Austin Rivers.
Yeah, but think about how tenacious defensively they were last year. People see the offensive numbers and they think, oh, well, they can score with Golden State. But it's not about scoring with Golden State. No one can score with Golden State on every single possession because you don't have the offensive talent that they have.
Exactly.
But when you have, a healthy Chris Paul, tenacious defender, you have Luke Mbamute, Trevor Ariza, and PJ Tucker all playing hellacious defense, and Clint Capella, protecting the rim. You can get some stops, enough stops, dangerous. And you have enough offensive firepower with Eric Gordon, CP3, James Harden to be able to do something.
Right.
So I think that's where they slipped up. They were like, well, no, we got our offense. We're good. You're not outscoring Golden State, not in a 7-game series.
No.
They got to get better defensively, and they have to change their offensive approach. Just think about how James Harden was when he was in OKC. He wasn't this type of player. He was running off of screens. He was, active. He was more so an active distributor as well. So not like hey, I'm going to attack, get to the rim, and just kick it out. It's like I'm actually setting other people up to score, coming around, pick and rolls, and, things like that.
Right. He was far more of a all-around hooper. He even played better defense. I recall.
He used to guard Kobe.
I vividly recall him guarding Kobe. I vividly recall him guarding LeBron in the finals.
Yeah.
But I also remember him being referred to as a bad defender because he purposely stopped applying, energy on the defensive end and saved it for the offensive end. But I always knew it was a choice.
Exactly.
So I never followed that, James Harden can't defend. No, I'm not trying. I'm letting you blow by me, and I'm reaching around and try to hit the ball from the back and leak out. I'm not trying on this end.
Exactly. We've seen plenty of players become better defenders, or I guess more willing defenders in the league, because in the NBA you have to defend. There's no way around not defending. And JJ Redick being one too.
A lot of times that happens because those players, they see that their offensive game didn't translate. Austin Rivers was more of a scorer in high school and in college. My shot's not falling. I got to do something else to not only stay on the floor, but stay on a team. It's easier for me to play defense than it is for me to average 25 points.
He was on his way to being out the league. He really was.
Once you not playing for, once he got traded to Boston and they cut him, it was over. Your daddy picked you up, and you became known as a defender. And you always had a scoring potential. It's just not efficient or consistent on the NBA level.
Yeah.
So you have your games with the Clippers where people say, oh, we had 25 in the playoffs. He can still score.
Right. Yeah, but that's just not how it goes. How many players came into the NBA, whether playing overseas or playing in college, averaged 20 a game? And how many of those are now averaging 20 a game in the league? Not everyone can average 20 points a game in the NBA. That's just how it goes. Easy. So a lot of people's roles change more once they make it to the league. You come in as a star, only so few people actually remain a star.
Yes.
I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. Rockets season is going to be very interesting, though. I'm going to be watching them closely next year, specifically James Harden, because this is going to be a testament to your leadership. What are you going to do about it? I feel like Chris Paul is going to be a little more vocal as well, because he's kind of been chilling so far in Houston. He hasn't really caused many issues, or at least notable issues, but we know in LA, he was in everyone's face. He was on everybody's head. I think part of that might come out because he's sick and tired of losing, and he had two ample opportunities these past 2 seasons to get there. And first one, obviously injury, but this second one, that was on them. That had nothing to do with what the Warriors did. That was just what the Rockets didn't do.
Yeah.
So let's talk Anthony Joshua. If you were watching or if you were alive this weekend, we all heard the knockout heard around the world.
Just remember going on Facebook, and it's this dude. I don't know his name, but I see all his posts. And he posted on there, Anthony Joshua just got TKO'd in all caps. I was like, bull. So I went, and it's crazy because when I typed in Anthony Joshua, nothing showed up. And I'm like, Anthony Joshua TKO, Anthony Joshua fight, Anthony Joshua fight. And it's just all these links on, subscribe here and you can watch the fight.
Right, on DAZN and all that.
Right, but I don't see anything. Then I go to Twitter. Anthony Joshua just got knocked out. Anthony Joshua just got dropped for the second time in a round, and I'm seeing the video, and I'm like, whoa.
Right. When I saw it, because I saw the same thing on Facebook, someone saying that he got TKO'd. I'm like, I'm not thinking he got actually knocked out. I'm like, maybe something happened. He had this bad cut or something like that, and they called the fight.
Right.
But I immediately went to YouTube. People start posting those videos immediately. I started watching the videos on YouTube, and I'm like, wow. It didn't even look like Anthony Joshua was in the ring. That was someone else that substituted for him. They pulled some dude from GB3 that was doing bicep curls and pull-ups and said, hey, you want to make some money real quick? And he said, say no more, fam, I'm there.
Honestly, that was the first thing that I thought, because I started going back looking at the fight, and I thought, he underestimated this dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think you train the same for every single person. This isn't who I want to fight. This is who y'all want me to fight. But he is qualified to fight me. So I'm a fighting, but I'm not going to train like he's who I want because he's not my pick. That's the way I looked at that. And he came out there and he knew dude was good, but he didn't know dude hit as hard as he did. And he didn't train the way that he should have, and he didn't watch film as much as he should have, and he just got beat, and he got beat bad.
Yeah, and this just goes to show you that anyone can get got, especially in the sport of boxing, more so than any other sport.
One hit.
We go back in history. Think about all the just major upsets in boxing history. Two of the most notable ones being, Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, Muhammad Ali, and Ken Norton.
Right.
Being another one.
Yeah.
Anyone can get got, and even the greatest can get got.
Those are arguably the greatest alone, Tyson and Ali.
Ali, exactly. I know people are saying that, hey, this is good for the sport of boxing. Andy Ruiz is, now a champion, first one of Mexican descent, to be the heavyweight champion, which is cool, but this isn't good for boxing.
I don't think so. I think it's good for Mexico because Mexicans are a very, very large market when it comes to fans of boxing. Everybody know Mexicans are huge fans of boxing. So for this to be the first, it is amazing for them. But I don't like the fact that Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder now have blemishes on their record that did not come from each other. I think that's the bad part about boxing. We were supposed to see an undefeated Deontay Wilder. with no ties or no draws. We were supposed to see an undefeated Anthony Joshua with no losses, no ties, no draws,
exactly,
on his record fight.
Yeah.
And see who's the best of the best. Now we're going to look at it and say, well, neither one of them were in their primes when they fought because neither one of them were undefeated when they fought. Yeah. And we were just robbed. Yeah. So I don't like that portion. Right. I don't like that part. Honestly, if this was their fight, and let's say Joshua won, and then his next fight was Ruiz and he lost, I think it would be better for boxing.
And we let boxing do this to us just year in, year out. How long were we waiting for a Mayweather and Pacquiao fight before we actually got it?
Honestly, I'd say maybe about 6 years.
Yeah, and it was 6 years too late, which is just unfortunate. We deserved to see that fight. That fight would have made millions and millions and millions of dollars. It would have made as much money as it did, if not more.
And money was cheaper 6 years earlier because it wasn't as expensive for stuff.
Right. Pay-per-view wasn't, $120 at the time.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So it would have done the same numbers, or at least the same significance in terms of numbers at that time. And on top of that, we would have been more likely, I believe, to get a rematch because both of them would have been closer to their prime or barely on the outskirts of their prime. So the fight that we actually got could have been the first or second rematch by that point.
Right.
And we were robbed of that. That's why I can't stand boxing.
About 3 of those.
Yeah.
We could have at least 2, but we could have gotten a good 3 of those.
Yeah.
I still think Mayweather would have won. I don't like the false narrative of Mayweather running. Pacquiao went on First Take not too long ago and said he ran the whole fight. He throw no punches. Mayweather threw and landed more punches than Manny Pacquiao in that fight.
Yeah, he's not a power puncher, so he's not going to be throwing these power hooks, and uppercuts.
But all you got to do is go look at the stat sheet for the night. I've looked at it. I looked at it the night of the fight. I watched the fight. I was shocked by it. Floyd Mayweather threw more total punches than Manny Pacquiao. Like, how did he run? Okay, Manny Pacquiao had a hurt shoulder, but he was still outthrown. Like, Mayweather threw more punches.
Yeah.
So don't tell me he ran.
Right.
But I honestly think Manny Pacquiao would have thrown more punches if his arm wasn't hurt or his shoulder or whatever, but I still think Mayweather would have won regardless. I just think Mayweather was a better boxer. He was going to find a way to win.
To me, the sport of boxing they're just starting to get a little more shine now. You got Canelo doing his thing.
Earl Spence.
You have Earl Spence. Terrence Crawford obviously doing his thing. Keith Thurman is going to be fighting Manny Pacquiao.
And Manny Pacquiao's still there.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao's still there. And then in the heavyweight division, this is the best heavyweight division. The most notoriety it's gotten in years.
At least a decade.
The Klitschko brothers were running it for a decade. Right. Strong.
And you had 2 people, but now you got Andy Ruiz throwing his hat in what many people may have only felt like was a 3-headed match. Tyson coming back and having a fight that he had with Wilder. You really just saw Tyson, Wilder, Joshua.
Right.
You may have known who Ruiz was, but now he's like, nah, I got all 3 of these. Yeah. So y'all got to come through me.
These boxing promoters play around so much, and I feel like they're really just losing out on money. They're not doing the fans any favors. It's just what's making money at the time.
If I'm going to pay for it, I'm going to pay for it. So just get my money now versus 3 years from now when these 2 boxers are more broken down.
And let's make the same amount of money for it.
I'm saying, if not more, because you may have honestly lost someone $60 because they're not as interested.
But the thing is that takes away from the whole aspect of competition. I want to beat the best. How can I be a champion with 3 belts and I haven't beat another undefeated fighter, who has another belt in the heavyweight division? We have to fight. There's no way around it.
Yeah, and there's too many belts out here.
Yeah, there are too many belts. There should just be 1 belt.
1 belt per weight class.
Yes, exactly.
WCB, UCD, UCD, we are us. Like, why is it so many? It's too many.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You're in a division. You work your way up through that division. You have the normal rankings 1 through 50. You're on that list or you're not. And then the champ is at the top. Everyone needs to go through the champ if you want the chance at the belt. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But yeah, boxing promoters, they just play too much. Andre Ward even mentioned, this was a few days ago, he said before he retired, he actually had the idea of fighting Anthony Joshua at some point. He was going to fight a tune-up, and then he was going to fight someone else, and then he was going to go to Anthony Joshua. But we didn't get a chance to see that. You know, Damn. How many more matchups are we going to miss out on due to just janky promoters, you know, trying to, you know, align their fighters to not have a blemish on their record? But by not having a blemish on their record, you're blemishing their record. Yeah. So, I mean, at least Canelo has a loss on the record, but he lost to Floyd. Right. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But had you been undefeated and you never fought Floyd, you never fought Pacquiao, you never fought anyone else in your division, are you really undefeated? You know, I guess you're undefeated, but you're not undisputed. I'd rather be undisputed than undefeated. Yeah. So, especially in the world of boxing, you know, you fight with your hands. I want to have the chance to punch someone in the face and tell them, hey, I knocked you out, or I'm better than you. I beat you. Yeah. That's what competition's about. So these promoters need to get their lives together, man, and just give the fans what they want. But they know they can just kind of dangle something in front of our heads for a little bit, you know, just to get our attention off everything that they've done over the years and matches we haven't gotten or that we got too late, you know. Anthony Joshua, I don't know what he does from here. I don't see how he's going to fight, you know, Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder now. Maybe if he can get him because he's desperate.
I think the next one is going to be Ruiz again.
Oh yeah, they already agreed to the rematch. They used the rematch clause.
So that'll be the next one. Honestly, I thought Anthony Joshua, prior to the Ruiz fight, I thought Anthony Joshua would beat Deontay Wilder because Deontay Wilder is at times too much of a brawler.
He's wild.
His
name.
He throws too many haymakers and he doesn't box enough. And from what I've seen from Anthony Joshua, he's a little better of a boxer.
More methodical.
Right. So I honestly had Joshua winning. When I saw how Joshua was affected by Ruiz's power, that made me think Wilder had a better chance than I had originally given him. So after I seen Wilder and Tyson fight, I had Joshua beating Wilder. I thought he could possibly lose to Tyson. I thought that would have been a much better match for Joshua. Now, I think he could lose to both.
Oh, no, I think so too. I mean, he's not that, you know, Fury is a power puncher, but he's methodical. You know, Tyson Fury looks like he can't really fight, but he can. He's got hands. He really does, and he's got pretty quick hands. Anthony Joshua has shown that there's some questions regarding his chin. So one of those hits from Wilder could be good night for him. And that's kind of with everyone. So I won't necessarily say that's only because of Anthony Joshua's chin. But
strong dude.
Yeah, but more so, you know, now than even what I thought, you know, the Friday before the fight, he could be had by Deontay Wilder. But either one of them can now say, I don't need to fight this dude. He's a chump. He got knocked out by Ruiz. I want to fight Ruiz. I want to take those belts, and everyone now come to me. I don't need to start.
If Ruiz beat all three of them.
Hey,
we gotta call him the greatest heavyweight in the last 15 years.
I'll have to take back all my comments from this episode and be like, nah, he's just the GOAT, like best Mexican fighter of all time. So last thing we got for y'all, Anthony Davis. So if you haven't seen, now the Pelicans are interested in listening to trade talks for Anthony Davis. Some of the teams that we've been talking about even before they started officially listening to offers, obviously the Lakers being in the mix, the Knicks being in the mix, and the Boston Celtics being in the mix as well. Obviously, we know a lot of different teams can make different offers. There was something that we actually found on social media, basically making mock offers for Anthony Davis. So the Lakers offer, their mock offer, would be the 4th overall pick, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, Mo Wagner, and their 2021 first round pick. The Knicks would offer the 3rd overall pick, their 2nd round pick this year, 55 overall, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and Mitchell Robinson. The Celtics would offer the 14th and 22nd overall pick in this year's draft, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. If you are the Pelicans, which offer are you taking?
I have two answers. If I'm the Pelicans and these are the initial offers and I can alter one.
You can't alter.
If,
all right, just tell me your pick.
If I could alter, I would take the Knicks trade and I would alter Frank for Dennis Smith Jr. And I would accept Dennis Smith Jr., the 3rd overall pick, a 2nd round pick, which I would honestly try to move to a future 1st round pick if I could. Kevin Knox and Mitchell Robinson. I think that's the best trade out of all three. But if I'm looking at what is offered, I'm settling, but I'm going for the Celtics because I feel like that's the most talent on the board. I feel like Dennis Smith Jr. actually makes that much of a difference with the Knicks offer. For me personally, I like Dennis Smith Jr.
I got to go with the Celtics offer, whether you can modify them or not. I'm going to go with the Celtics offer. I think they have the player, even out of these draft picks, I think they have the player with the highest ceiling in Jason Tatum. Don't get me wrong, with that 3rd pick, you're talking about RJ Barrett being the 3rd overall pick, ideally. I think Jason Tatum still has a higher ceiling because at least we've seen him do it in the league for a full year.
I honestly think Jaylen Brown might end up better than Jason Tatum if he's given the opportunity to be an offensive option as much as a defensive option. I can see Jaylen Brown ended up really being probably like a Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see him playing that role. With Jason Tatum, I could see him like a Carmelo.
Yeah,
maybe not.
That's true.
Like Carmelo was not a terrible defender with Denver. Him and Kobe had some series where they would really go at it, and he would really go at it with Kobe.
Yeah,
like defensively, like you're not just finna make everything.
Yeah,
I think Jason Tatum, offensively, he's just gonna be far more known for that versus defense. Yeah. I can see Jaylen Brown really fitting in as one of those Klay Thompson 20 to 22, Jimmy Butler 20 to 22 type scorers. But also being known as one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Yeah,
I could see Jaylen Brown being a poor man's Jimmy Butler or a poor man's Kawhi Leonard. Pretty great to me. I'll take that. And if I can get even albeit a volume score in a Jason Tatum, I'll take that. I can build my franchise around that. And with the 14th pick, the 22nd pick, you can either choose to draft, young guys and build the team that you want to build with that talent, or flip those picks for quality veterans to add to your squad. So I think that's probably the best package to go with out of these. I think the Lakers probably have the best talent to offer, not necessarily from this pick, but just, including, Lonzo, Kyle Kuzma, whoever you want to include in that mix. So I think that they can probably compile the best offer, the best realistic offer. I mean, they dang near offered their whole team to them already.
Right.
And honestly, the Pelicans should have taken it. If you're going to give your whole team away, take it.
I thought that as well. I thought they should have taken it and they should have flipped Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram.
Now they're yours. Now you have the opportunity to flip them and get more talent, get more draft capital,
If you could have kept your number 1 pick, like you still would have they 1st round pick, so you still would have 1 for those players, plus what you already flipped for those other 2.
Because NBA teams, they love potential. They'll trade anything for potential. So a young 21, 22, 23-year-old with potential to be a star, oh yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly.
If they fizzle out and they end up being nothing, okay, then cool. You really won that trade because I know you got some value back for trading a lot, Lonzo Ball, and he turns out to just be, an average, 10, 7, and 6 guy. You probably got a couple 1st round picks from him, or you got a quality veteran player from that trade as well, or you can package that together and get someone the caliber of a Chris Middleton that may help your team right now. LA has the most talent to offer, but it's hard to go against Boston and that top talent, in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown that they can offer, and just draft capital. They've got picks for the next 30 years, to offer, because of the way that they fleeced Brooklyn, with the Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce trade and stuff.
Yeah, that was bad.
I forget who the GM was with Brooklyn at the time. You can't never be a GM in the league again.
No,
there's no
he
coming back.
He shouldn't have a house. I'm not selling you this house.
Don't come to Brooklyn. No more.
Nah, you gotta be homeless for like 6 months.
Yeah,
After that trade, you don't deserve. There's a lot that you don't deserve.
Does he get exiled back to New Jersey, where like the old arena was? He got to live over there.
Nah, that's too good. You gotta go live in like off-skirt city in Ohio or something. Like, I don't even know. Like the smallest town.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like one of those really small towns, but it got a lot of letters in it. Okawakanomi, Ohio. It kind of sound like a Hawaiian state.
Yeah.
Or Hawaiian city, but no, I don't know. Just something weird. Something real long and weird state. Like, who's ever been to Iowa?
All right, so this is going to wrap up another episode. Make sure to like our Facebook page. Like I told you guys last episode, we got a new Facebook page. Check it out there. Poll question. Do we want to do the poll question about the trade offers? Which offer would you take?
Yes, if you can do 3.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have them just type in their response. Okay. So it's going to be on our Instagram story, Facebook story. Which trade would you take? We'll post them all there. Yeah, just follow us on Anchor, Instagram at Fan Culture Pod as well. We're getting close to 200 total plays over our episode. So thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you all.
We can ask you guys just continue to support us. We definitely appreciate it. We want to give you guys more content. So let us know what you guys want to talk about, what you guys want to see. And we'll do what we can to get that for y'all. Any last words?
That's a wrap.
All right, it's a wrap. Till next time. Peace.